Hi guys, just back out on a walk with this lad. Boy, was off all day yesterday, so you got a late walk. But yeah, normality is resumed. I've got the final training day with our senior lads until their big game on Monday. It's going to be a big one, so can't wait. Hoping we win. Fingers crossed. But what I wanted to talk about was it's an interesting topic. It's kind of a bit weird, but as I'm coaching young men, I kind of think to myself the pressures that are on them, and I'm going to keep in touch with the adolescents, the series, because it's got everyone talking, so it's definitely on everyone's mind, I imagine. But I want to talk about the things that hit home, particularly for me. So what hit home for me was obviously the lack of male role models, and for me specifically, I always think of J. Cole. I love that song, No Role Models. I think it's a really good one, and not even just the song itself, but I like the title. He's African American, and so a lot of young African American men grow up without a good male role model, and I think it's come on now, going around literally spinning in circles. Come on. Whenever I'm making a good point, he pulls at the lead. Good boy. And it's a good case study though, because you look at how many African American men get involved in crime. What's the common denominator? No strong male presence in the household. You can joke about it and make jokes all you like, but the proof is right there. If you don't give someone a strong male role model, they're gonna seek them elsewhere. What are you giving out of? Good boy. Wins after picking up big time here, but what I was saying is, if you don't give someone a strong male role model, they're gonna seek them elsewhere. So, like, my dad left 3 times. He was never really present, even when he was, if that makes sense. Even when my mum and him were still together, he was always away with work. So I grew up without him ever being present. Hey, I'll stop crossing, zigzagging, like you're gonna get hit. How many times, Alfred? Good boy. No, stay in. Trying to be a good male role model for him and stop him getting hit by a car. So far I've done a great job. Fingers crossed that continues. My heart, But it's not up to your kid to be the way you want them to be. I'm just gonna pause that for the kid's not waving. It's not up to your kid to be the way that you want them to be. It's up to you to appreciate what your kid is like and to accept them for what they're like. As long as they're not harming anybody else. I was listening to Gavin Friday on the Tommy Tiernan show, talking about how he was bullied in school because he's gay and he didn't like sport growing up, and the stereotype obviously is that your son will like sport and that'll be something you can connect with. And I mean, it was for me. I genuinely liked it. What I fucking hated was people. It's like I hated having to communicate with people. It was uncomfortable for me. I wanted a connection, but I didn't have the social skills to build it. And a lot of times, I cared about real shit. Like I don't care about, as you say, who's won Love Island and all that crap. I want a genuine conversation. So you could talk about football with me, or actually sometimes it was all you could talk about, football, rugby, or whatever sport was on. Anything else I'd no interest in. So it's kind of a weird perspective because that's all I did when I was young. But then you have to be able to socialise on top of that, and I couldn't do that. And my dad never made any effort to I was different, I was awkward, I made problems for everybody else. Boy, was I fucking made to feel that. You know? He's different, we don't know what to do with him. And teachers were guilty of this as well, you know. And a lot of teachers are very guilty of this. You don't meet the norm of what we're trying to teach. Everybody else is okay, but you're the problem. No, maybe you're the problem. It's up to you to teach, regardless of what kind of student you have. But very often, especially in Ireland, they get off with it, you know. They fail a lot of kids, but the onus is put on the student, not the teacher, from what you can see. And look, I imagine nowadays it is very difficult to engage young kids and young men, yeah, but moving on to another theme that I want to talk about, that I picked up on from adolescence, and maybe a bit more off topic, but it's adults acting like children, right? So I was saying it to my mum, they give out about young fellas and, you know, people not taking up sport, and yet there used to be these dickheads that when you'd go into an Astro pitch, me and my mate would go to play football, and this old fella said to us, oh, you know, you're not allowed in here, you could be charged with criminal trespassing. I was like, it's a football, Astro, and all we're doing is playing football, that's it. Like, if anyone comes onto the pitch when we're training and I want to just play with a ball, but they put it back afterwards, got away from it. Yes. Like, when I'm coaching lads, some young fellas might come into the Astro in the school, in Outlands College, and all they want to do is play football. And it's a big Astro, and I'm like, lads, no issue with you playing football, but will you just give us this section and play over there, just so you're not disrupting the training? They're like, yeah, grand, no bother. And I'm like, what's the problem with that? Rather than me being a gobshite and going, no, you can't, because, you know, I'm in charge. And no, let them. I'd rather them doing that than getting up to mischief. Seem like an old fella now, but the devil makes work for idle hands, as they say. As my mum always said. But it's very true. Like, she was bang on with that. It's like, if you've got young fellas that are bored, they're going to try and create entertainment somehow, aren't they? So give them something to do. Keep them entertained. If they're playing football, they're not really harming anyone, are they? It's like a bunch of lads came by and they were playing hurling. I was just over asking the coach. I said, sorry, I was just wondering how much longer you'll be, just so we could start training. And he's like, oh yeah, we'll be done at 2 o'clock. We're like, yeah, grand, no issue at all. He apologised. I was like, no, take your time. We won't be ready for another 10 minutes anyway. So like, they were finishing up. I was like, yeah, no rush, no hassle. And a few of the lads training and playing hurling were like, sorry, just wondering what part of the pitch you guys are using. And I was like, well, we'll be using, say, 1/3 of the pitch, because as I say, it's big. We didn't have too many numbers. They asked could they use the middle section of the pitch just for training, to practice their skills, you know. And it's like, yeah, absolutely, no problem. You're over the middle, we're down one end. No issue with that at all. You've got to practice your skills, that's how you get good at the sport. So I understand that completely, no hassle at all. The lads were pleasant. Some lads even come by and ask can they throw a rugby ball around that we're not using. And I've seen coaches before be dickheads about this. I was like, yeah lads, no issue, just don't be arseholes about it. Don't take the ball and run off with it, you know what I mean? We need them for training. So they put them back when they're done. I made sure they put them back. In fairness, they're good lads, they usually do, but my point being with this is, you give a young fella respect first, then you get it back. You don't treat them like a dickhead. You know, you don't be an arsehole to them, you know. I'm the boss, you're the subservient, essentially. I don't like to do that, and like other coaches have said, you're too much of a friend with them or whatever. Maybe, yeah, but no other coaches can really stay back and have a laugh with them. I didn't have anywhere else to be, and we didn't have to get off the pitch, so I said, I'll stay back and we can kick a ball around, have a bit of a laugh. If the lads want to work on their skills outside of rugby, they ask me, can they borrow a ball? I'm like, yeah, no issue, as long as you bring it back, you can borrow it, no hassle there. Because we've got a hooker that needs to throw, got a kicker that needs to practice his kicking. Yeah, by all means, work on your skills. And you can stay on the pitch as long as you want, pretty much. But I was staying back, having a laugh, kicking the ball with them. So they like me, you know, and I can chat to them, have a laugh with them, rather than being distant, you know what I mean? And then maybe they open up that, you know, something's bothering them, and because that's what I'm all about at the end of the day. Isn't that right, Alf? Good boy. Yeah, good lad. So that'd be a lesson. You can be their friend, you know, like, you get there's a sense of you're an adult and they're a child and whatever and all that, but what's the point in being very distant, you know, because then they're not going to feel comfortable around you. They're not going to feel comfortable enough to open up to you. I'm not there to be this authoritarian type of fella, you know, and I feel like we have other coaches that do that anyway, so they're kind of more the senior role, so I can bring something a bit different to it, you know. Good lad. Yeah, we cross over. Come on. Good boy. Good boy. But get in off the road. Yeah, good fella. And then my final one, the point that I just wanted to make was, and something I could relate to in adolescence completely, is the rush to become an adult, you know, to get all these sexual experiences. Oh, it used to drive me mental. And again, being autistic, you know, I had terrible luck with the ladies. I know, it's going to make me cry, but I remember all these lads from about 10 and 11 years old, or we call it a meet in Dublin. Anyone will know what I mean by that. In the country they say shift, you know, just means to French kiss basically, but that was like your rite of passage, if you like, and lads be bragging. I mean, what's a common thing? And I heard Blind Boy Boat Club talking about it. You'd be out on, say, a pre-debs or something, or a night out, and what would all the lads ask you if you were talking to a girl? They'd say, and I think you'll all know what I'm going to say next, what did you get from her? You know what I mean? Basically, how far did you go? And I remember feeling like a bit appalled by that, but then kind of start doing it myself, because I thought, I'm allowed, it's the norm. It's not, well, it is, but it shouldn't be. But then, like, me and my dad chatting, he'd be the same, you know, and I'm ashamed to admit it, but we had a laugh about it, you know. And I'm not saying that to try and impress anybody, you know. I'm just saying it because that's genuinely how I felt, and I chose to ignore that. And I thought, yeah, I need to get what I can. And I remember feeling weird because I thought, well, no, I want to get to know the person and actually like them, you know. But I was the weirdo for thinking like that. And even girls treated me like a weirdo for being like that. They looked at me as like, oh, didn't want a relationship with you, just wanted, you know, the ride. That's it. Just like, that's all, really. And I was amazed that young women were like that, because I thought, and I made the mistake as well of thinking that, you know, all young fellas were little scumbags and all young ones were angels. I found that one out the hard way. But you're not allowed to be a kid, and I imagine it's only getting worse. Like, the young fella in the show, Owen Cooper was his name, by the way, great actor, has a bright future ahead of him, as he said, but he's supposed to be 13, now he's 16 in real life, I think, but you could see him pretending that he, you know, got nude pictures of girls, and then he admits that he didn't, to Bryony, Erin Doherty, the psychologist, the criminal psychologist for his case. And I mean, I can relate to that as well. I used to lie and say that I got something when I didn't, because I thought I had to get respect from my peers. It's this rush, you know, and you get one thing and then you're supposed to do another, and all the other lads are doing it, right? So, and you don't know who's telling the truth and who's not. So I was very naive, you know. I had to really, say, grow up fast. I'm still like a man-child in a lot of ways, but it's not important, do you know what I mean? It doesn't teach you anything. It's just bragging rights. And we prioritise that over actual life skills, from what I can see. I don't think it's good, you know, it's not useful to anyone. But that's what we do, don't we? Prioritise the useless shite. But anyway, good lad. Your lovely blonde hair. I'm teaching him how to be a good young man, and he's doing a great job. Yeah, you're the best fella. Now, go back. Yeah, good lad. Teach him how to be a respectable young man, which he is. But yeah, just thought I wanted to talk about that. It's not easy being a young person nowadays, you know. And we don't need to be authoritarian figures with young men. Usually that just leads to pushback. Got to teach them how to respect, of course, but we've got to respect them first. You know, you get what you give, as they say, and if you don't respect them, how the fuck are they going to respect you? You know? Wrap it up there.